Action. All right, so hello, I am Ines, for those that haven't met me before. I am growth manager at MyLenio, and if any case you can hear me, please let me know through any way. So welcome everyone to this cybersecurity event. We will have the opportunity to hear firsthand testimonial about the current scenario of this huge concern that many companies share. First of all, I want to thank our speakers. They are Marta and Álvaro, both computer engineers and cybersecurity specialists. Their consolidated experience in the sector will help us understand certain concepts that are necessary for the companies in this day and age. Cybersecurity has gone from being among the top 5 concerns of CEOs to the top one. It is an issue that concerns every company member, both personally and at work. It's essential to emphasize that without cybersecurity, all system, equipment, work management in general will fail in this 3.0 era. On the primary needs of the world's leading company and a source of income is data. Without it, they would not function. Protecting them with the highest level of rigor is vital and has become a necessity for the survival of companies. So today, with Marta and Álvaro's help, we will go deeper into this crucial topic. So first of all, I don't know, guys, well, the structure that we are going to follow is going to be question and answer to be more dynamic. So, well, if anyone has any doubt, please just raise your hand through here and you can ask our experts and specialists, and I'm sure that they will be glad to answer you any question. But so I'm going to start asking the questions, and any of you, Álvaro, Marta, I think, feel super free to answer and in the order that you want or whatever. So the first one, we would like to know which is the biggest cybersecurity, let's say, threat, and what are the main ones, and any way to reduce them?
Well, regarding to your question, I think there's no one threat that we can select. We have to talk about different concerns that we have seen around with the conversations we have with the security responsible and within the different companies and sectors. And if we talk about, we prefer to talk about concern rather than threats because threats are everywhere. So if we ask them, what are you worried about? You know, I think they have a top 10 concerns in mind. I wouldn't know how to prioritize them, but I think there are 10 that are completely clear for them. We could start with the most obvious one, which is protection against cyber attacks. We have to be reactive, but also preventive. I mean, it's not enough if we are focused on react to an attack. We have to be a little bit, we have to be prepared and put all the measures that we can in order to reduce the potential threats, you know. So that would be the first one, the protection against cyber attacks. We would also have to deal with the deficit that is completely tangible within the cybersecurity environment. We are talking about a deficit in terms of budget, but also about resources, strategy. It's difficult. We have to face with this kind of problems in the companies. Another problem is that we have to align business objectives with cybersecurity needs. All the customers we worked with, they said they claim that all the IT departments or the business departments see them as the bad guys, because they are always taking care about things, they are implementing controls, and they say we look like the bad guys, but the only thing we want to do is doing our job in the best way possible. So we have to be aligned with the business needs. Another problem is digital trust and all and everything related with customer authentication. And this is something I think we will talk about in this during this conversation. So I will put I will leave this as a titular only like that. We also have to face a huge amount of new regulations. We have to be compliant. We have to follow the best practices in the market. The best practices that the government shared to us. So this is the regulatory framework is something that we have to be worried about, and we have to pay attention to this. Another important thing is the technological transformation. All the customers, all the companies are moving to cloud. They are including more and more IoT or operational environments. So all these different machines or devices have to be managed in any way or other, and they add some kind of complexity to everything regarding cybersecurity. I will also say that we have talked about lack of resources or lack of budget, and one consequence of this is the lack of people, professional in the cybersecurity field. We have to look for employees that has broad knowledge about IT, but they have their cybersecurity in mind, and this is not something very common. Cyber is something quite new, so finding someone with a broad experience and a good mindset is not easy at all. And I think we are all suffering about this with this. Another concern I will say is automation. We have so many different types of attacks, so many threats, so many problems in our daily lives that we cannot handle all of them. So we have to start automating. We have to delegate some things. And I think this is something that cybersecurity responsible are starting to be, are starting to think, and they try to see to think, how can I automate whatever the most process or the most things that I can, I will automate them, so this is something important. And I think this mix with the following concern that I would say that they are redesigning the ideas or processes, not only to make them more automatic, but also to support the resiliency of the business. We have seen how a pandemic can change our daily life, so we have to be prepared to respond to this kind of situations. We have to be resilient, and we have to have contingency plan. So this is something we have to be focused on. And last but not least, as I have said, the employee training and awareness. I think the way we work, the way we connect to different systems has been changing for the last years, and we have to ensure our employees and our colleagues and the companies we work with are completely aware about the importance of cybersecurity.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Marta. Actually, I have to excuse myself because the question was about no threats, was about concerns. And that's what Marta just said, that, well, it's super important, this, let's say, mixed mind with the cybersecurity, or, I mean, being aware that we are being cybersecurity, let's say, served, and as well being that IT profile that could be developer, could be both front or back end or whatever. But sometimes is that I feel you, Marta, because we see as an employee people that audit cybersecurity or all this kind of stuff like something tough and boring, like yeah, I'm going to save everything, yeah, I'm going to put the password with as much characters as you need, and we don't realize how important could be and how very bad things we could avoid applying and implementing all these measures.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I would like to ask you about the evolution of cybersecurity. It has increased over the years or changed?
Yes, of course, it has changed a lot. It has increased like crazy, and it was mainly well, one thing that helped it was the home office situation. Like you have to imagine that many companies went from having everyone connecting to their internal network through the office, which was a control network, something that they control everything, to people connecting to the internal network, to the internal resources of the company. They could access from a Starbucks coffee. So like they lost a lot of control in there. So like I would say that the last years, the surface of attack for the bad guys increased a lot. It was much more easier for them to attack, like because many users with no knowledge of cybersecurity were accessing very important resources from very insecure network. So because of that, I think that's something that Marta said about the security awareness of the employees. Right now, it is something crucial to make employees aware that they cannot access the internal network via the Wi-Fi of the airport or the Wi-Fi or of the Starbucks, because it is super easy for someone to be listening in that network and like steal all your passwords. Or also, it is something super important to add two-factor authentication. Like they can steal your password, but they cannot steal your second factor authentication. Like it is going to change. So yeah, I would say like during the last years, it was more about how can I say it? Like concern to the normal user that they have to be secure. Like for example, nowadays everyone is buying stuff in Amazon via internet. So like we are putting our money on the internet. So like it is something that for the bad guys is super sweet. Like it is way easier to steal it. So we have to be quite aware with that. And also something that changed was like the amount of data that we have now on our servers. And it is why there are these many certifications like GDPR or ISO 27001. Like they are forcing companies to be secure, because they have many data of the customers that they have to be secure, and that bad guys can steal, and that they can do many things with that. So yeah, I would say to sum up that everything increased because like we are using internet way more than before. We are like putting more data from us on the internet. We are sending our credit card number through the internet, our credential for the credit card through the internet. We are connecting through insecure networks. So yeah, the surface of attack increased a lot because of that.
Okay. So yes, one question out of the loop. Do you think that for the current companies, it's a huge challenge to make all the users and at the end of the day, employees aware of that? No, isn't it?
As Marta said, it is not that easy because like, yeah, if you say to an IT guy, you have to do this and this because this is the secure way of doing things, like they are going to listen to you. But it is not that easy to say to the marketing guy, you need to have like 8-digit passwords. You need to have a 2-factor authentication because of that. Like you say that to the marketing guy, and if they can, they are going to avoid it. So it's like a lot of work to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So related to that, and what just Alvaro said about all the internet connection, the insecure networks, etc. As more and more companies now are cloud-based, how do they face up with vulnerabilities that come along the cloud in terms of cybersecurity?
Well, I think I can answer that, but before that, I don't know, Pablo has raised his hand. I don't know if we can solve his question or if we move forward and we solve.
Yeah, sure. Where is Pablo? Pablo,
go ahead.
Hey guys, good afternoon and good morning for the guys in Argentina. So I have a question for Alvaro. It's more regarding about the increase of the attacks that have been or that have happened since we started with telework. What kind of attacks, or not what kind, but have you seen an increase more like on a client side attack or on the company's target, more targeted to clients or customers or to the company itself?
Yeah. Well, what increased? I think they both increased. Like all the phishing attacks increase a lot because like it is super easy to trick the end user to click a bad link or to click or to download a malicious file. But also, for example, with all this pandemic situation, like the bad guys, they were attacking a lot all the hospitals, all the medical centers, because they knew that they were super overcrowded, and like if they could access their servers and they could do a ransomware, like they would have to pay 100% sure. So like they were threatening a lot the medical sector from the pandemic to now.
Right. So both were like really juicy targets for hackers lately.
Yeah, I mean, like you have to imagine you have someone who is like on the like in a very bad health state, and they ransom all the data, and you need the data of that client to heal that client. So you cannot play with the life of that client. So you have to pay. So that's a little bit something bad that happened during the last years.
Right. Thank you. Thanks for answering my question.
Okay, so Thomas has asked as well a question through the chat. Thomas, I think this is a question more about personal experience. So if we want, as we are going to ask both Marta and Alvaro for their personal experience, let's leave that question for later. Is that okay? So they can, Thomas, you could be a cybersecurity specialist someday, I'm sure. All right, so yeah, we were with Marta about the cloud vulnerabilities as we're cloud-based companies, and as well, Marta, sorry, I forgot to ask in the same line the challenge that the cloud-based
exactly.
has.
I think we have to keep in mind that cybersecurity and cloud security are becoming synonymous because all the customers, all the companies are moving to cloud in one way or another. They are multi-cloud or they have a hybrid environment, but they have some pieces, or even we are not talking about environment, but we are talking about SaaS solutions. So they are moving to cloud, and this is a fact. The thing is, the only difference is the deployment environment. All the principal cybersecurity responsibles or CISOs, they have talked about this for years, and they have talked about data protection, identity and access management, infrastructure, vulnerability management, and they are also applicable for to cloud security. As I said, the only difference is the technology stack, because at the end, the environment in which these security controls are deployed requires extreme automation for the deployment, but also for the monitoring and the remediation. I think this is one of the key difference, so we have to automate, as I have already said. But at the end, the what and the why haven't changed so much, but the where we place our data, our applications, our server, and the how we deploy them has changed, and this is something that we can see. But on top of that, we are detecting, as I have already mentioned, a lack of cloud security skills, which means that the business are protecting the business around protecting the organizations and the way they operate has a big deficit. So we have to keep in mind that cloud might be everywhere, but the hackers and the criminal actors are also everywhere. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. And in terms of reducing the vulnerabilities or prevent the exposures we have once we move our business to cloud, I think, and I don't want to repeat myself, but we have to automate cloud security, especially around deployment, monitoring, recovery, and eliminating manual processes. As we have a lack of specialists, we have to make them work in real important things. We cannot allow ourselves to have a security specialist doing repetitive tasks or manual processes. We have to use their minds to do important things that makes value and makes the difference. But we also have to build a centralized cloud security team that comes from the development, and they are able to understand security. I mean, they have to understand both worlds, not only the development and the IT world, but also the security. We have to look for the 360 degrees employee. I know we are looking for a lot, but I think it's worth the difference. And I think we have to have an incident response process in mind and deployed, because even if we try to prevent our companies to suffer an attack, we are going to suffer them. I mean, we can think fast, but hackers think faster. So we have to be prepared for whatever we can happen. And one of the ways we can be prepared is implementing some different of methodologies, like the zero trust methodology, which relies on do not trust anybody. So let's implement controls, or let's doubt about people, so we can protect ourselves. And this is, and as we have already mentioned, if we don't trust on people and we are implementing controls or are asking for a strong password or a double another way of authentication, the final users get angry. So we have to have a good policy regarding the control access, using modern technologies that makes them be secure, but with a good user experience. So I think this is something key.
Yeah. Oh my God. Here we can see a big challenge. Actually, that's why we put all our efforts, all the MyLenio's team in MyLenio, because to doing that, to automate what could be automated, and all these resources that are super neat, and there is a lack of knowledge in that terms, to invest them in what really matters, knowing in something that could be automated. And as well, all the DevOps operations that are really important for any development team, that should be secure. And yeah, I can see the challenge here, but let's go for it. Let's go for the challenge. Okay, so I think like this is a question for Alvaro. If you have any recommendations, particularly for companies and as well employees, to avoid all these cybersecurity attacks and all that concerns about cybersecurity.
Yeah. Well, first of all, like many people think that the secure company is the company that never gets hacked. That's not true. The company that never gets hacked is the company that never gets attacked. Like your company, if someone wants to hack it sooner or later, they will hack it, because the bad guys, each year they are like more professional, and at the end, defensive part. Well, I mean, as I work in the defensive part, we always say that the blue team, the defensive team, we have to cover all holes, and the bad guys, the attacking part, they just have to find one hole in order to access your infrastructure. So yeah, first of all, I want to make clear that there is no unhackable company, and that I would say that the security maturity of a company, you can see it in how they respond when they get hacked. And yeah, having said that, I would say that the main help for a company in order to protect themselves from attacks, I would say that, as I said before, user awareness, endpoint protection, like to make sure that the devices that the users have that are well secure, and also monitorization. Monitorization, I think that it is super important. Some studies during the last year, they have shown that the medium time to detect a bad guy who accessed our network is like more than 60 days. You have to imagine that a hacker can be inside of your network during 60 days without being detected, and they can do anything that they want. So like, it is a lot of time. It is something in which we have to improve, and we should make it zero to be detected instantly. And yeah, we have to monitor our network super good. And also, once they are inside the network, we have to implement some security measures to make it difficult for them to do lateral movement, that it is to move from one server to the other, because they may access via a server that is not important, that gets hacked. But if they manage to access a server like the access management server, like they own the company. So it is something that I would say a lot of monitorization, and using the data that we get from the servers to create some sort of intelligence to detect the bad guys.
Oh my God, Alvaro, thank you. I get super surprised about those figures. As I am a sales girl, I hope all the sales team are taking notes about those ones, because it could be super interesting that that a hacker could be more than 60 days. I mean, well, or roughly 60 days without being detected on your data. So yeah, amazing, and super important to cover all these and be sure that you are securing all these things. Okay, so to keep going with this, we have our last questions, and I think Marta will answer that about the certification. What are the most common certifications, and what are the challenges that they pose at the company level to obtain them? There are benefits what are the benefits that report for a company?
Yeah, well, this question I'm going to answer it too. So,
Okay.
I would say that I wouldn't say that there is such a thing as the most common certification. Like there are some guidelines that we have to that a company has to follow by law, like GDPR. But normally it goes through, like, you work in a banking environment, you have to if you want to work with huge banks, with huge banks, you need to pass PCI DSS. Like, if in terms of the medical sector, that right now it is quite targeted, you need to pass the IPA audit. So I wouldn't say that it is something such as the most common certification. Maybe ISO 27001, it could be the most common, but I would say that depending on the sector, you would need to pass one or another certification.
All right. So I think this is important as well, just for the market in general, that be aware which certification are going to be required depending on the target, on the sector, on the industry that you work with.
Yeah.
As a development team, of course. So, Alvaro, do you think about related with this certification? Well, I say Alvaro or Marta for sure. Is there any implementation plan needed to achieve them or something like that? Or how you can reach them?
Yeah, I mean, like, it for sure it is not easy, because like they are quite challenging to be acquired, because you need to prove that your company is secure. And also something quite important, as Marta said, that right now more companies are going to the cloud. It is something that for cloud providers it is super important to prove that they are that they are secure, that they have the certifications, because like at the end, to have your data in the cloud is like someone else has your data, so it should be a secure company. Like, if you have your data in Google, Amazon, or Microsoft data center, like, it is super difficult for someone to hack those companies. But like, if you have your data in the local store data center, it is quite easy to hack that. So like, it is super important where do you have your data and all that stuff.
All right, yeah, and invest the amount of money that is required to keep all data safe, I think is something important as well. Okay, so guys, could you give us some challenges that the new year present for cybersecurity scenario in 2022?
Do you go, Marta, or do I go?
1 second, but this is something that always happens with these kind of things. Don't worry, Marta. Yeah,
don't worry.
Right.
Sorry, I wasn't on mute. I will say that I can share some highlights about the 8 main challenges we are seeing around this year that will be some kind of in our customers' minds. So, as I said, I will share only a heading, but I would say the 8 key cybersecurity consideration for this year would be expanding the strategy security conversation, not only talking about cost or speed to implement, but also to business need. We have to be conscious with these kind of things. We have to deal with the critical or the lack of talent and skill sets. We have to be prepare or continue being prepared to adapt the security for the cloud and from the cloud, we have to explode the security automation, as we have mentioned a lot, but we have also to protect the privacy frontier, as we have said. It's very important to follow the different laws and guidelines in terms of regulations. We have to secure beyond the frontiers of the company, and this is something very related about the way we place identity in the heart of our security strategy. This is something that we have talked a lot during this conversation, as we are working from a lot of different places, using a lot of different devices, and we are working with business partners and third parties. We have to ensure the data, the way they access to our data is the correct one. We have to ensure that the people who access is the correct one, and we have to ensure that in case this person or this kind of relationships are broken, we cut we restore the permissions or we change them, but we have to do in an automatic way, So all the world around permissions that we give to a cloud environment, to SaaS applications, to the different companies' resources, which are not in the traditional servers or in the traditional infrastructure, has to be dynamic and has to be automatic. Has to be automatic. Yeah, in case we can. So I think this is something that is key for all the companies. Most of them are not seeing the need of having a good access control policies, and most of the attacks starts with this, with a permission that shouldn't be in place, or a privileged account that shouldn't continue living. So I think this is something very, very important, which our customers are not completely concerned about. So, yeah.
All right, so I hope everyone that works here in cybersecurity have taken notes, because there is not a single and an easy challenge, but yeah, actually the new year is just starting. So good luck on that and all efforts on that, because I think it's going to be grateful at the end of the year for sure to follow all this advice and achieve those challenges for companies and clients as well. All right, so guys, just to finish, once again, and I will repeat that, thank you very much for being here, for sharing all this knowledge with us. But last but not least, I want to ask you about your personal experience. What do you feel? What are the reason that you keep going on this track, on the cybersecurity track, and that incentivize yourself to be a cybersecurity expert nowadays? And as well, if you can, let's mix this question with Thomas' question one, which is what's the knowledge roadmap to be a cybersecurity specialist?
Okay. Well, I can start. I would say that in order to be a cybersecurity specialist, we have to think about which is the field that we like the most. It's not the same being focused on privacy or being a specialist in detection and response and incident response, So there are a lot of things, a lot of careers within the cybersecurity environment, and I think this is like a try and buy. You have to try different things and buy in any way or another the one that you like the most. But this is a broad world with a lot of possibilities, and I think this is something that we all have place in this world, because needs and challenges are increasing one day every day. There are new things to face, so I think there's a lot of place here for to everybody. and For example, in my case, if you ask about our experience, I started as a software seller, but then I realized that all the things related with a project around cybersecurity, implementing control, redefining processes, and this kind of or doing an assessment regarding one regulation or another. I think this is something really interesting. That is giving me another way to see cybersecurity, and it's completely I'm enriching a lot my knowledge. And as I said, we can do lots of things. I think the world of possibilities is almost it's huge. So yes.
And yeah, I mean, by my side, what I would say, like, regarding the question, what do you need to start as a cybersecurity specialist? First of all, as Marta said, cybersecurity is huge. It is not the same the skill that you need to be an auditor, than the skill you need to be a penetration tester, an incident responder. It depends a lot. But the most, like, the skill that I think that would help you most in all of the positions is to know how to code, and to know how to do a basic script in Python. And if you know how to do scripts in, like, PowerShell or Bash, like, it would be great. And also knowing things about operating systems, like knowing stuff about Windows or Linux. But cybersecurity is huge. Like, you need to know that it is about protecting servers. So you need to know everything about the servers. And if you work in terms of IT security, you could work in cybersecurity, in OT security. That it is something that I don't know much about, but it is also something that you can do. And for me, what keeps me going in this way is, like, I am quite a geek. I like to see things in, like, low level. I like to know how things work, and I think for that, the cybersecurity career is the one that is going to be better for you. If you like to know how things work, and if you know how things work, you could know how to exploit the vulnerabilities of not well-designed services or not well-protected companies. And yeah, I think if you like to know how things work and at a low level, like, it is the best career path that you can take.
All right, so thank you very much, Marta, Alvaro. Let's open a question time for a couple of minutes, as we have some time left, if you think is all right. Pablo has raised hand, and if anyone has any question for Marta or Alvaro in any topics that we have talked along the talk, or as well any personal experience that they could share with you or whatever, please feel free to ask them. And thank you again. Yeah, sorry, Pablo, all yours.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't have a question per se. I was going to share or add to what Marta and Alvaro was saying as well. I do have experience in cybersecurity. I'm actually right now offensive security manager in a cybersecurity company. I can share a quick path for you, or I know that the cybersecurity fields are huge, but usually what really helps to get into cybersecurity and get your first job as a cybersecurity auditor is to start not only by learning to code, as Alvaro said, but also what really helps is to focus on the most required field by now, which is the web application security. Usually, pen testing web application is the gate of entrance for all the new, let's say, the juniors or new persons that want to get into cybersecurity, and from there to start moving to other type of information security fields, like for example learning from once you manage to learn and you master the web application security field, to move to infrastructure. So you can now round yourself around not only the web technologies, but also the underlying technologies or the back-end technologies. That will also lead you to other type like of cybersecurity jobs. Like instead of moving only from pen testing only web applications, it will help you get to red teaming or intrusion testing, which is basically the end goal for everyone that wants to get into offensive security. That will also lead you to blue teaming and incident response, because you learn how to hack into systems from the outside all the way into the internal network, and you end up learning how to protect yourself as well. So that's a quick path and my humble share from my experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pablo.
No problem.
Yeah, so I think after some guidelines to follow on the cybersecurity roadmap to be a cybersecurity specialist, as we have here with Marta, Alvaro, Pablo as well, and maybe anyone on the public as well. Martin, I think, do you have a question?
One question I was trying to think is like something I've been seeing that happen. Sorry. Something that I saw that is happening is like smaller and smaller companies are being required to do compliance. At least that's something that happened to us in the state, that we have to do SOC 2 compliance on Lenio. Luckily, we grow up a bit, so now we can hire people to do the compliance and all this stuff. But I was wondering what you guys think about, like, if this trend is gonna keep going to like companies of like 25, 30 people to be required to be compliant, and how do you think they can do it? Because you need a team to like apply for SOC 2 ISO, like maintain it and everything. And I'm really not concerned, or like curious how to see how those super small companies are gonna be able to get to this challenge in the next years.
Yeah, well, if it is okay for you, Marta, I will answer. I think that it will continue. For example, for me, in my previous experience, in my previous job experience, like I was working for a company which we were a platform of payments, and we were like 20 people, and like we were required to be PCI DSS compliance, and it is something that is for small companies is super crazy. It is super difficult and super stressful to achieve. But at the end, we were working with, we were super small, but we were working with big banks. And like right now, something that it is done a lot is, for example, if you want to attack a big bank, you are not attacking the big bank. You are attacking the small company that has access to the big bank. So as a startup, as a small company, you are going to lose a lot of business opportunities if you don't achieve these certifications. So yeah, I think that it will continue, and that it will be more and more required during the years.
All right, so thank you, Alvaro, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we aim to everyone here attendance that has a company or has a tech team or is in charge of a tech team, that be aware of all these requirements, even though if you are very small, as Alvaro said, they were 20. So yeah, be aware of that. Okay, so I don't know if anyone has any question yeah, Martin, go for it.
Sorry, at the beginning of the talk, Marta, you were saying that the difficulty between the knowledge, the skills, and the people around this this discipline. And I was wondering what's your experience about the business needs, because you were talking about some tools, some strategies, some requirements, but what about the lack of research on the business need? Because if you have a company that makes sales, for example, and the CFO needs to approve some pay order or whatever, and you restrict them based on the cybersecurity that he cannot be on any Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi, you are messing with the business. In my experience, I have feelings, and I have proved that many times the cybersecurity guys, they are looking for the best practices instead of the business need. And there are other ways to acknowledge the business need and not be restricted on any things. For example, to put a password from 20 lengths, maybe it's no need when you can do the same thing with a 8 length password. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I totally agree about the fact that this kind of the traditional security guys are very, very techy, and they are great in doing their jobs, but they don't have empathy with the business needs. And as you said, why asking for a 20 characters length password when you can ask for the fingerprint? And it's even more secure, you know? So let's keep these kind of things in mind. I think we, for example, in my company, when we look for security people, we look for good technical people with a technical mindset, but that they have a good feeling with people. I think this is very, very difficult to get, but I think they have to be realistic and with the feet in the floor, you know. I think this is something that we cannot ask in a curriculum, or we cannot search for that for it looking at LinkedIn profile. But I think this is why I said a 360 degrees employee who has absolutely all the capabilities. And I know it's a dream, but well, as you said, we have to look for the employees with this sensibility in terms of business need and the value the company and the value they can add to the company. You know, not control, but because of the control, but we have to understand the real purpose of the things we are doing. So yeah.
No, because I was thinking I don't know, a couple of years ago, to put something on the cloud was a total crazy idea, because everybody's going to have, and nowadays to have a physical server is a crazy idea, and how to manage the evolution of the different technologies of the different business from the cybersecurity point of view, no?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I cannot add a lot of things because I agree with you.
That's good. As Marta said, we don't control just because of control. So with a purpose behind all of this, for all our data and work at the end of the day. So okay. So if anyone has the last question, but if not, let's let everyone keep on going on our daily tasks. That I can imagine that we have many tasks to do today, as well. Marta and Alvaro, that they here in being out of work for this, but I think all these kind of things are very important for the community, and to be aware of all these concerns that sometimes we just feel that it's something boring and tough, but is even necessary. Okay, so I think that's it. No, or the chat? No, because the chat is not bumping. All right, guys. So thank you very much once again, Alvaro, Marta, for being here with us. More than welcome. for any time that for any need, and for sure we will asking you some question as well. You can add Alvaro and Marta to LinkedIn, to that huge network, and being in touch for them for any question or requirement in terms of cybersecurity or any other. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
Marta, bye
Thank you,
Alvaro.